Building 7 did not appear to have any significant damage by comparison. The Wells Fargo Center in downtown Denver is 52 stories high, while the Quest building is 53 stories, and Denver's tallest skyscraper, the Republic Plaza, 56 stories. World Trade Center Building 7 was a 47-story steel reinforced building. Next to the towers, it seemed quite small. However, it is taller than most buildings in most cities in the United States. It is roughly the size of the Quest building in the Denver skyline. News agencies quickly reported that the building fell due to fires. However, there was just one problem. CNN and the BBC reported the collapse of the building around 30 minutes before it actually happened.
The complex is on fire and has either collapsed or is collapsing, and you, to be honest, can see these pictures a little bit more clearly than I, but building number 7, one of the buildings in this very large complex of buildings that is the Trade Center, there were, and that is the right way to put it.
Now, more on the latest building collapse in New York. You might have heard a few moments ago, I was talking about the Salomon Brothers building collapsing, and indeed it has. Apparently that's only a few hundred yards away from where the World Trade Center towers were. And it seems that this was not a result of a new attack. It was because the building had been weakened during this morning's attacks. We'll probably find out more now about that from our correspondent, Jane Stanley. Jane, what more can you tell us about the Salomon Brothers building and its collapse?
Well, only really what you already know. Details are very, very sketchy. There's almost a sense...
As the building collapse is discussed for almost 20 minutes, the feed of Jane Stanley is cut seconds before the building actually does collapse.
Many of us, when we heard the news, perhaps on the radio earlier today, were completely flabbergasted by it and just couldn't comprehend it. I mean, it almost sounded too far-fetched. I was wondering what it's felt like for you being in Manhattan. Well, unfortunately, I think we've lost the line with Jane Stanley in Manhattan. Perhaps we can rejoin her and follow that up later.
And next thing you know, there's firemen grabbing all their equipment, and there was a whole bustle and shuffle of firemen going on. He goes over, he talks to the fireman, he comes back with his hand covered over the radio, and he's like, you know, just sit tight, calm down, calm down, you know, it's all right. He finally has this face that is like he was heartbroken. He's like, just run for your life.
Kevin McPadden is a paramedic who worked in rescue and recovery on 9/11. Here is what he has to say about the building collapse of World Trade Center 7.
He went over and he talked to one of the, through all the commotion, he goes over and he asked one of the Red Cross, or one of the firefighters, what was going on. I guess, I don't know if he got an answer or not. He came back over with his hand over the radio, and it sounded like a countdown. And at the last few seconds, he took his hand off, and you heard 3, 2, 1, and he was just saying, just run for your life, just run for your life. And then it was like another 2, 3 seconds, you heard explosions, like boom. It has like a distinct sound. It's not like when in compression, like boom, 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 like floors that were dropping and collapsing. This was boom, and like you felt a rumble in the ground, like almost like you wanted to grab onto something. That, to me, I knew that was an explosion. There was no doubt in my mind.
Only a few recordings caught the clear audio of Building 7 when it went down.
Yeah, here's one of the guys who can tell you I'm okay, all right? Here, hold on. You want to call your mother or something? You gotta get back to something. You gotta get back. All right? Don't worry about me. You need to make calls right now. All right, that's... 4-1 should have taken a couple of companies that they were leaving back to us. They were stuck on the tunnel. They must be...
No gas, another. Hours after the attack, many smaller explosions rumbled through downtown.
Danny Yawenko is a controlled demolitions expert. Here's what he says about the tower collapse.
Zijn reactie op de beelden die we laten zien is onbevangen. Zie je vanaf boven gaan? Nee, je gaat vanaf onder.
Die gaat vanaf onder, ja.
Toch?
Ja.
Ze hebben gewoon kolommen weggeblazen. Ze is nagesprongen.
Dit valt anders dan het World Trade Center.
Vind je niet dan?
Ja, je ziet het, de onderste verdiepingen gaan eerst.
Ja, en de rest zakt er gewoon in. Dus dit is controlled demolition.
Zeker weten?
Zeker weten. Er is nagesprongen. Dit is in opdracht gebeurd. Dit heeft een team gedaan van experts.
Maar dit is ook op 11 september gebeurd.
Dezelfde dag?
Dezelfde dag.
Dezelfde dag? Weet je dat zeker?
Ja.
Was het zeker weten de 11e? Dat kan geen waar zijn.
7 uur nadat de World Trade Center naar beneden viel.
Ja? Hebben ze hard gewerkt.
Larry Silverstein, in an interview with PBS, claimed that the fires were unable to be controlled, so they made the decision to pull the building.
I remember getting a call from the fire department commander telling me that they were not sure they were going to be able to contain the fire. And I said, you know, we've had such terrible loss of life. Maybe the smartest thing to do is pull it. And they made that decision to pull, and then we watched the building collapse.
Was he referring to the building or the firefighting efforts? Were there any firefighting efforts in Building 7? And who uses this to describe that scenario? CNN aired the footage of police officers saying that they were about to blow up the building and to get back.
Keep your eye on that building as they coming down. The building is about to blow up. Move it back. All right, guys?
We are walking back. There's a building about to blow up. On flame. Debris coming down.
Just in the last few seconds, another building, building number 7, one of the buildings in support of the World Trade Center towers, has collapsed. This is no small building, as you can see, at 47 stories. It would stand out in most American cities.
There was also footage of a foreign military unit on the scene of the World Trade Center.
To rehydrate so they can return to the parched canyon.
Building's going to collapse. Nothing information.
And it's always dangerous.
Building's going to collapse. Nothing information. Building's going to collapse. Nothing information.
No investigation was done into who this person was. Most of the steel at the World Trade Center was melted down and recycled before forensic analysts could determine what had happened in the structure to cause the failure. Why does the official story claim to this day that fires brought down this building? Those who have questioned the collapse are still called names or said to be conspiracy theorists, but many of them are not actually formulating theories, but asking legitimate questions. Many in the movement are saying that the building was blown up by explosives. Who would have wanted Building 7 to be blown up? And how did they get uninterrupted access to the towers to place these explosives? Controlled demolitions take several weeks and sometimes months to set up, especially of a building the size of 47 stories. A computer must help coordinate the structure.